Alright, welcome to exercise 2, implementing a DHCP relay. So I'm just going to bring up a little diagram to show you exactly what we're doing here. Well, it won't be a second. Alright, so I've just got a blank canvas here. So usually with the DHCP server, you have a client, say Windows 10 machine, and you might have a router of some sort, and this Windows 10 machine says, look, I need an IP address, I don't have it. It will shout out, and it'll go through the DORA process. It will be discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. I'm just going to do ACK. So discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. And so that it'll ask the router, give me an IP address. In other words, the router says, there you go. But what if the DHCP server is somewhere else? And that happens a lot, actually. I've got a DHCP server in another network. It's completely somewhere different. So the Windows 10 machine will ask the router for an IP address. The router says, look, I don't have one. By the way, some routers actually can do DHCP, which could be useful in some situations. But anyway, in this scenario, the router says, look, I can't give you one, but I do know where to get one. So it will relay that request over to this DHCP. So what we're doing in this example is, if we go back here, we've got Windows 22 router here. That's Windows 22 router, which is going to do the job for us. So we're in Sarawak, which is a beautiful place of the world. It's going to ask the router, and the router is going to go somewhere else. Maybe could be another country, could be another server room, could be anything. DHCP say yes, no worries. Here we go. Here's an IP address that you can give, that you can use. Then that router will relay this. This is a very, very common setup. It's just not very common to use a Windows 22 router to do it. All right, so let's jump into this. So we're going to switch over to the router now. With this particular lab, some students have said that they've had some issues with it. It's just not working. But let's check it out. Now, to make a Windows 2022 server a router, we go to Server Manager and we go to Routing and Remote Access. We can turn this into a router. Pretty cool. It's good to get you out of trouble. You get a quick router and it will work. But yeah, you probably want a physical router in an on-premise network. But this works. So we're expanding over here. We'll expand IP version 4. We're going to go to General, and we've got the two Ethernet controls. These are virtual Ethernets. One is going to Sarawak, and I forgot where the other one is going. We'll find out, I think, shortly. One's going to Sarawak, the other one's going to Hawthorne. So our server, our DHCP server, should be in Hawthorne over here. I think it's our Active Directory, the domain controller here. I think that could be it. If we right click, go to Settings. It's in the Hawthorne. Does that have a DHCP server? Let's double check. I believe it does. Yeah, it does. See that? So it's got and it's even got a scope there too. So we're going to jump from Sarawak, Malaysia, all the way over to Hawthorne, Melbourne, Australia. All right, now let's get this done. We'll jump back to the router. Okay. So I think we need to do this. So IP version 4, right click General, click on New Routing Protocol, and DHCP Relay Agent. Actually pretty simple if you think about it. It's more complicated configuring this on a Cisco switch. There's that DHCP relay agent there. Beautiful, excellent. So now let's configure this. So right click, DHCP relay agent. Or should we, properties. And we're going to type 172, which is the server address of the domain controller. Let's double check that. That's the domain controller. I like to configure and verify. I know we've done this already. We verified the IP address, but it doesn't hurt to do it again. I like to rule out problems before they occur. So I'll do IP config. Yeah, there we go. So that's perfect. So what's happening here is that we're stating, where did that go? So what we're saying is that this router is connected to Sarawak and it's connected to Hawthorne. If it gets a request from Sarawak, send it to this IP address because it's a router. It's got access to both networks. We're getting one from Sarawak. Let's become a DHCP relay agent and send it along to Hawthorne. Pretty cool. And that's it. Apply. Okay. Really easy. But what we need to do is we'll need to go back to DC1 and create a new scope for Sarawak clients, Office clients, in the Hawthorne, because we don't have a scope for them at the moment. So let's go over. We're going to minimize the router. We'll go back to domain controller. There it is, domain controller 1. Good. Tools, DHCP, IP version 4. We've got a scope already for Hawthorne, but we don't have one for Sarawak. So let's do right click up here, new scope, and we'll do it exactly like we did in the other exercises. We're just going to change a bit. We're going to do a branch office. So Hawthorne is the head office, Sarawak is the branch office. You could write Sarawak there if you wanted to. Click on next, and then here we're going to change the scope, exactly the same scope as it was in the Sarawak server. 10.10.10.150, and we can. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 24, and that changes the scope for us. We'll do the no exclusions for now, and the lease time we'll keep it at 8 days. We do want to configure some of the options in the scope. Default gateway, yeah, we definitely need this. Yep. Next. Next again, everything should be nexted. Nexted, I just invented a word. And now we've got two scopes. So we've got a Hawthorne scope, which will look after the computers in the Hawthorne server, and we've got another scope which is the Sarawak Malaysia, but which is called the branch office. So we've got the two scopes. So now that network that it's in the 10.10.10.0 subnetwork. When we get a DHCP request from there that goes over to the Hawthorne will respond automatically with an IP address within that scope. Let's test it. Let's have a look at if that works now. Now, is that good to go? Should be okay. I like to refresh. Is anything happening so far? Nothing has been leased yet. No problems. So we'll go back over to we will go back over to the client 2, 102, yep. And we'll do an IP config, command, and we'll do an IP config, oops. I'll just having a look. So nothing's changed so far, but I'm going to look at that. See that one there? that will disappear. This will show me that we've changed scope. We're not on the local anymore. And that should change as well. All right, now I just have to check something. Yeah, so we need to stop the DHCP servers on server 1. I knew that we were missing something here. Really easy, so you right click and then we should just be able to pause it, or at least you don't want to delete it, deactivate. Try not to delete stuff. Okay, we're not going to get an IP address anymore. Let's again configure and verify. So we're back on the client. Let's do a release. Yep, we've released the IP address. Let's do a renew. I'm expecting an error. I'm expecting an error, or am I? No, actually, what I think it's going to work. It'll work now, because the DHCP relay should be working. So it's taking a little bit longer than the other one, than the one that's locally. It will take a little bit longer because it needs to jump across routers and come back. But hopefully not too much long. By the way, once that works, that should change back to 101, I believe. That'll be back 101 because the reservation, we didn't create a reservation on the other side. It's taking a little bit long. Because I'm not a really patient person. I'm going to just have a look at the DC1 machine over here. Refresh it. I want to see if it's given it a lease yet. Not yet. Still no leases at the moment. Some students have said that this is not working as it should. So I'm just gonna pause this for a while so you don't have to waste time waiting for this to come up on this system. I'll be back. If there's any issues, I'll let you know. Okay, I think I've made a little bit of an error. I'm going to double check this now. But if I go back into the routing and remote access, I'll right click DHCP relay agent. I think I went to properties and I did it through there, which is okay, but we probably should have gone into IP version. So right click, then new interface, and then we click on Ethernet 2, and then OK. Yeah, I think this is going to work now. I think it was a little bit of an error on my part. Click, yep, and then OK. It should be OK. So right click, properties, and that's there. That's fine. It should work. Let's test that out. Okay, so let's do that renew again. Hopefully that'll work. If not, I'll do some more troubleshooting. But what was happening is it wasn't able to connect over to that server. Anything happening in the DC1? No leases. Okay. Still struggling. Oh, here we go. No, it worked. Whew, finally. Perfect. So let's go to all. Okay, that's good. But remember, we didn't get the same IP details. This is how I know we're connecting over to the Hawthorne office. So remember, my error was over in the router, when I right clicked here, I forgot to do the new interface. So that's the interface that's connected to Hawthorne. Alright, so that is that. Perfect. And that's tested and wonderful. So I'm going to end the recording here. We've got one more to go for the DHCP, which I'll have available immediately for all of you. Thank you everyone, and yeah, good luck with your labs. It's a really good lab. It's real world stuff that you're learning, and I really hope that you enjoy it. I'll see you in the next video.